Hi everyone. We're going to do this video in parts. I just got through with the penciling fixes class. I took the Ryan Benjamin course taken through Kubert School Online. It's got me rethinking how I approach pencils. My approach has changed over time. I started out trying to do everything from imagination, and then as I got a little bit better, you recognize the importance of references, which I still think are important. But one thing I learned from the Ryan Benjamin course was um, how to go back to imagination in it, and I think that that's kind of where I want to be. As far as like creating scenes that have never existed. You want to create characters that don't exist and never exist. Although this is my version of Sandman, if you check him out. Um, some of this is a tools approach. I'm starting to use softer leads, bigger leads. This is a gigantic 6B lid in here. And this is probably the weakest one that I did. Maybe that one's kind of weak. And then yesterday, we were doing kind of like a little draw-along thing in the Discord. And I drew this thing. This you've probably seen the original Kirby version of this Hulk where he's got his arms are in there. I have a feeling that Frank Miller was referencing kind of a similar one when he did that really chunky Batman drawing. But I also inked it, and I inked it with a nib pen. And unfortunately, I turned the page, and it was still wet, and so I blotted the pants. But it looks okay. It looks fine. But you'll notice this is in color, and so I have all my colored pencils here. I've got tons of colored pencils, and I like the effect. Once it dried off, I went ahead and I started just for fun, just kind of goofing around, colored penciling it in. They did the same thing with this Bride of Frankenstein character. And I wasn't thinking about it very much because we were just kind of sitting in chat and talking while we were drawing. This one's done with just colored pencil. These Indian characters that I did. But these Indian characters, completely different artists, but they used the same... They must have been referenced. There's a similar pose, but the same thing with the sort of rawhide trousers and the loincloth things was used here as well. And that was both in the reference. So I kind of want to do that more. Now, unfortunately, I can't do it all at once because, I can do the drawing and then I can ink it and then it's got to dry before I start to apply any kind of color to it. But I have the idea that maybe that's what I want to do. Anyway, so this is going to be... So anyway, here's Wonderwall. Here we go. This is going to be my Man Thing. Although he didn't have to be Man Thing. I could make him my Cesare character, which might be a good one to do. Cesare is this hooded wooden puppet character that's infested with these psychic silverfish. And actually, I might need reference because I forgot how I drew him a bit. Well, I could just draw him and just see how he comes out. And I only did one story with him, but at one point he gets set on fire. He's supposed to be this kind of big hulking... I mean, he's definitely influenced by Man Thing. Because he can't talk. Or if I do have him talk, it'll be really halting. One of the approaches that was taught in the Ryan Benjamin course is core. You draw the core, and then the head, and an idea that I kind of came up with on my own. And I came up with it around the time I was drawing some of these Sandman characters. Is the idea of it's okay to just go completely geometric or graphic design sometimes. And I'm planning on inking it, but I'm not trying to draw lightly. I am going to try and erase. Like I'm going to take a kneaded eraser and kind of rub the whole thing out. Before I start inking it. And then I'll attempt to color it. So there's my character. Now he's kind of a Hunchback of Notre Dame sort of character, so a little bit like the Scarecrow. Or let's say Toad. Always liked how Jack Kirby would draw the Toad with this collar piece, but I'm not going to go with that. I think we're going to stick just like we have it. One of the things that makes him interesting to me is he's not a person, he's a puppet. There is an intelligence, but it's these little bugs that are crawling all over him that he's infested with, and they're not super apparent. You'd have to look, you find several of them kind of poking around on him, but he's not made up of the bugs, they're just infesting him. Alright, so then we're going to do, something like that. Alright. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and erase what we can. The great thing about 6B is you can't erase all of it no matter what you do, so you're probably fine. You can see it's kind of still there. But my goal here is I'm going to try and capture as much as I can in the ink. Now I might mess this up, so I'm just going to warn you beforehand. Anytime we're using real ink, we're flying without a net. Okay, I should have a brush here too. If I have a brush, one thing I've learned is that when you're starting to, you're outlining, and then you get like an area that you've got to kind of flood fill a little bit. It isn't really made for your pen to sort of scratch in several areas. You end up degrading the paper, and it never looks right. So I also have a brush and some water here. So we're going to give this an attempt. Kuretake Super Black, and my hands are clean right now. That will not be true by the time I'm done, I'm sure. Alright, we're going to try and as simply as possible. The cool thing about this character is, once again, he is kind of a magical character, even if he gets completely destroyed, and in this case, he got set on fire. The bugs can eventually rebuild him. So gotta get better with inking. I want the light kind of coming from back and above. So these lines here, relatively thin, and then as we get down, you know, down below, we can go thicker and thicker. Hopefully I don't put my hand right in the ink, which is definitely something I've done before. So that's a mistake right there. All right. That's okay. We will live. This is going to be like a kind of a rope belt. That's one area we want to do some black kind of underneath, and inside the hood we want lots of kind of dark shadowy black. And I'm already going away from my pencils a little bit. I was thinking these thighs need to be more meaty, more like the He-Man Masters of the Universe proportions. You know, they have those gigantic, like big, gigantic thighs. Same thing with the knees. I think I should have gone harder on the knees. Clothing folds are also a concern. That wasn't real helpful, was it? Let's see. All right, on the boots. I guess another similar character would be Ragman, although Ragman actually has, for DC, I think Ragman has like his intelligence, but it's the same aesthetic. A little bit of the Ragman aesthetic there. I'm still figuring out how to draw feet. Boots. We want some shadows under there as well. Well, while we're doing that, let's go ahead and... Oh, I may have already messed this up. Let's see. This is just meant to be sort of fill-in stuff. One of the patheticness of Ragman is he still has like a vestige of his human intelligence. So he never kind of knows what's going on, and he just kind of follows the lead of the silverfish. Oops, there's too much paint on there. And I would think, maybe I should focus on the stories where he has these sort of vague memories of when he was alive. And it's not even clear that he's not alive. Like he's... Here's the deal. So he's called the Sleepwalker because he lived in a state of perpetual hypnosis by this villain who kept in this magical hypnosis, and then he got stuck inside a magical cabinet that was infested by psionic insects called silverfish. They're sort of like these intelligent cockroach things. And they're like a hive mind. And they just slowly replaced him piece by piece with wood. So it's unclear if there's anything left of him that's really still human. Probably not. I haven't even decided. I mean, I'm the one that made up that character. All of the coolest monster characters in superhero history always have tragic stories like that. Man-Thing, same deal. The Hulk, Ghost Rider. Like the sad backstory is part of what makes it kind of tick. There's a pretty good video somewhere floating around YouTube about how all the Marvel superheroes are basically universal monsters, or maybe the monsters are the superheroes. And the obvious one, of course, Hulk. Hulk is not just... He's a bit of Frankenstein, but he's also, Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's a little bit of Mr. Hyde, isn't he? Same thing of Spider-Man. This is not necessarily true of the DC superheroes. We could say that Captain America is not really like that. Hulk's also got a bit of the werewolf in him too, right? He's savage. He transforms. He actually, and I think as an original backstory, he actually was transforming only at night. Same with Ghost Rider. Only transforms at night. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Might have gunked up my pen, so I'm gonna wash it off a little bit. Once again, I don't know if I've gunked up my pen. It would be the height of irony if I ran out of ink. I have so much ink laying around. Not all of it's good for dip pen ink, though. All the ink on my pen. I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen, I'm sure. There's 4 fingers. Only a little bit on my hand. Only a little bit. And I think when I originally drew him, I actually did the puppet joints, like the wood joints that are on there, and I think we might go back to that. I think his legs are going to be wearing some kind of rag. You know, we'll draw some seams and some such like that. But I think for the arms we have to either decide if he's going to be wood or some kind of monstery, you know, monster flesh kind of look to him. And either would probably be fine. I've only used him in one story, so I mean, we could still completely reconcept the character and make him into whatever we like. And what is the max after all, right? We're implying light's coming this way, so we're gonna have to. second. I've gunked it up. I might just need new ink. This ink might be really old. Maybe we'll mix some water with it or something. Yep, see, I got a problem right there. Alright, we're gonna try and rescue this ink blob. Here we go. Let's try again. It's not the end of the world. What we got? Although it's not in the best place. Okay. It's not in the worst place either. I mean, we can white out a little bit over that. All right. Normally, I think of my spoony nibs or my speedball nibs as being kind of reliable. This is the other side, which is the Hunt 102. It's very flexible and expressive. Oh, it's much nicer. Well, alright, it is what it is. I gotta keep reminding myself not to put my hand in it. Okay, now no matter what we accomplish here, we're gonna color it with colored pencil. Like, this becomes the black outline for something, for a step 2. So that'll be the next video. And when you get kind of bold with these next few lines, they're going to go right across the middle. That worked out okay. I have some acrylic ink, and I have somewhere over there, I have an ink dish. My problem with my acrylic ink is it has to be, I think it has to be mixed with water. And you kind of spill it out into the ink dish and mix it up. I still have it. I probably tossed it out. I think I still have it. To search for it. Going a little thin on there. Don't be afraid to be a little bit bold. All right. Well, despite the messiness of it, I think this will take color really well. This wrist mistake is not bothering me much at all.
I know it's a mistake. Listen, that's not really glaring. Remember, we want to do some kind of shadowy area beneath. We're going to try that with the brush. Mixing a lot of water in there. I just want the flowy liquidity in there. But I still want the black of the ink. Okay, I may have found another kind of cool effect. Because this wash is actually fine. I thought it might obliterate, what I had. I'm not convinced that it is. So for one of my classmates from Keyword Online is Kate O'Donnell, who you can see on Instagram as Cat Mac Draws, and she does a lot of stuff with washes. Which requires a lot of technique. I'm okay with this though. This seems okay. I'm gonna put a little bit more darker. I want the eyes to kind of glow beneath the hood. This is kind of like using, like a Copic marker or something like that to knock out some shades. This feels very similar, and I still feel like I can color over the top of this. I wonder if I can build up dark areas, like if you let it dry and then you throw another shade of dark, transparent black on there. I suspect it'll work. Let's get a little darker right under the hood. Bring back some dimensionality into this arm. It helps that this is pretty substantial paper. It's about as substantial as you can get without it being Bristol or watercolor paper, which it isn't. Well, it's kind of, I don't know, it's got some tooth to it. Oops. We should let it dry a little bit. And then we'll go on to do the next stage, which is going to be color. Alright, please like, follow, and subscribe. And we'll continue working on this image, such as it is. And I'm going to look at some other options for inking. This was a Kurotake Super Black. Hopefully I don't spill it. We didn't like that problem wrist. I think that's completely eliminated now. Not a problem at all. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right.